Greetings, my fellow bushy blobs of subatomic building blocks, Masons, father of the plants, porter of fuel bricks, and as always, berserk for Legos. Alright. Get out your train tickets because in this video, I'm going to be presenting three main topics. One, I'm going to cover all the major upgrades that I've done to the train overall. Then I'm going to present two new cars that I've developed. One is the cafe car, or buffet car, or dining car, however you like to call it. And then the other one is the sleeper car. Then number three is I'm going to present to you guys a number of options for which you guys get to vote on. And the options with the winning votes will get included in the final design of these trains. And I'll be posting the polls for those options on my community tab in the next day or two. Yeah. Alright, before I get started on the train cars, now I'm not really interested in getting into the whole stop motion thing. It is a little bit of fun, but my idea of spending half a day to take 500 different pictures and then do a bunch of editing just to create only 20 seconds of video is not too appealing in my opinion. But there's just something about these trains where I keep getting these silly ideas, and it all started with the freight train video, where the freight train was trying to run me down, and then my last express video where I had a bad guy chasing me across the top of the train, and then this video, inspiration hit me for doing a car chase scene. Which I absolutely love. For me, it's totally awesome. But quick quiz, I'll let you guys know the answers at the end of this video, but these two cars are actually based on movies. Let me know in the comments what movies these cars are based on, and particularly for the red one, let me know what the exact car is. Alright, so let's talk about the upgrades. And we'll start with the engine here. And the first thing that I upgraded is the length overall. So I actually increased it by 4 studs. And these 4 studs, I think, kind of gave it a little bit more realistic proportions lengthwise. Now again, I'm not trying to go with true scale, and I think in real life, real trains might actually be longer than this, you know, in proportion to the width. But I'm not trying to go for full scale, I'm just trying to keep it at a reasonable minifigure scale. So the extra 4 studs resulted in a window back here. I just thought it'd be neat to have the operators of the train have a little area in the back where they can chill out or take a break or whatever. Now I ended up doing a lot of structural changes to this whole thing. It pretty much got torn all apart and then rebuilt even better. So yeah. Now one other major feature that I did is I decided to make the battery box accessible from the bottom. So that way you could change the batteries out really quickly and easily. So I made it so that these little wedge plates here could just be pulled right off, like so, and then this is only being held in place by a 2-stud wide plate in there. But you can see how it just nice and easy access to get to. And then once you're done changing the batteries, you can just slide it right back in there and then put these plates back on. Yeah. So that's a big advantage with going with the 8 wide trains, is that the base is custom built. You have that option. So before, I was using those Z brackets to hold a bottom plate down here, and then the battery box had to be installed from the top. But because of the width and depth of this whole train, and if you haven't seen my previous video, the reason why I've got the battery box all the way down here at the bottom is for a low center of gravity, so that way the train is not top heavy, and that way you can corner better. It's more stable, more grounded. So the other thing I did was I installed a button here on top. So there's actually a Z bracket that's fully assembled, and here's the button up here on top. And you just have to press that, and it'll turn on the battery box. Now the other thing that I did was I was able to fix the misalignment between these two giant roof slopes, these 1x8x4 roof slopes. And previously I had the right idea, I just rushed it too quickly and messed it up. I knew what I was supposed to do, but I just didn't do it. What I was trying to do was raise this up by half a plate. What I did incorrectly was instead of the 2 bricks here, I only had 1 brick, which ended up canceling out my effort to raise it up by half a plate. And so once I realized what I had done, then it was a pretty quick and easy fix. So the next thing to talk about is the green stripe. And before, the black was cut off back here, had the arrow shape to it, and then the green one kind of came at an angle, and then there was a thin green line that went out to here. Now I haven't bought the new train set, and LEGO has not released all the new 2022 pieces out yet. So I don't actually have this large 1x8x4 slope piece in the new bright yellowish green, and it might actually look better if it was in white, But for people who have already bought the train set and they only have these pieces in the bright yellowish green, I decided to redesign the color scheme of this train to include this piece as the bright yellowish green. So I don't have it yet, so you'll just have to imagine that being the lime green. So I do want to mention that I've never built instructions or parts list for any of my mocks before. However, I felt compelled to go ahead and do that for this particular train, just because it's so awesome. And so that's another reason why I'm trying to incorporate this piece as a lime yellowish green. So that way for people who have already bought the set, those pieces don't go to waste and they don't have to buy a bunch of new pieces. And so because this is going to be the bright yellowish green, I needed to reroute the color down kind of in this zigzag formation. There isn't any way of raising this up to align with the bottom of the green stripe here. If I did, it would end up being a mess. This would go away, and then the slope pieces, which are 1 by 3 by 1, those would end up creating a bunch of these, and then I'd have to, every alternating one, I'd have to offset it by that half plate in height. It wasn't worth it. Instead, what I've done is I've taken the green and juggled it down to align nicely with the position of this one so that it can be converted to the bright yellowish green. And the nice thing is that if you look at the profile of the white color, it actually looks pretty neat. You've got, comes down here, goes across here, goes up, hooks back, and then you've got that nice profile across the top. Now this is at a 45-degree angle, and it matches with the 45-degree angle here. However, this angle is identical to this angle, so this is parallel with this right here. Now I am considering moving this position over a few studs so it doesn't look a little pinched right in this area. Alright, so since I fixed the position of this, the front window actually opens a lot easier. It only opens up to about here. Before, it wouldn't really open at all. It was hitting on this roof piece right there. And now I've gone ahead and added the driver's controls. Now, one thing you may not know is all my mocks are built for the future in the year 2060 because I'm building a Lego city, a tropical Lego city, which is set in the year 2060. So 40 years into the future, I'm doing a bunch of technology, AI, robotics, and autonomous driving, and electric battery vehicles and all that stuff. Vertical farming, all that neat future technology stuff. And so one thing that I do is I put digital touchscreens in a lot of my vehicles, even like regular cars. I'm putting these digital touchscreens. But the way I designed it is actually fairly easy to swap that out for any kind of instrument cluster of your choosing. Okay, so I'm gonna push the button here, the little green button. So there you can see that the battery button that I've built into it is working. So whenever I flip this upside down to change out the battery box, I just have to keep in mind that I need to kind of position this back in there. Okay, I haven't done really anything with the interior. I guess I could put a couple of seats in there just for any of the drivers to hang out at, but mostly nothing's really going on. I've got the light connector on a pin right there. You can see that the power cable has a nice big 2x4 opening in which to work with. And then I'm also using these inverted tiles right there to prevent the cable from snagging on these anti-studs right there. Okay, so the other thing to mention is that this thing is actually pretty heavy, and I've also been giving it a lot of thought about including a second motor-driven wheels, maybe up here. This thing has plenty of room to fit a second battery in there. That might get included in the polls. What do you guys think about including a second battery box as well as another set of powered wheels right here in the front? That would basically mean that this piece right here would get a lot shorter to accommodate another one of these over there. The second battery would not be able to be recessed down in the bottom. It would kind of have to be staggered up on top. All right, let's talk about the train cars. Okay, so this is pretty much the standard passenger carrier car, and the major upgrade that I did to this is I also made it 4 studs longer. So you can see that it's added an additional 2 studs wide on the window there and there. That actually works out quite nicely because on the Lego set you can actually apply the stickers on the 2 stud wide window here. Alright, and then of course since the car got longer, I also had to increase the length of the glass sunroof, and I was able to do that by removing one of the black plates and adding in these 1x2x2 window pieces. The other thing that I did was I switched it around. Before it was snapped in from this direction and just resting on a ledge there. And the way you remove them is by using the doorway and pushing up from the inside. So in order to make it easier to do that, I flipped it around so that now there's a glass snaps in there and just rests on these little edges right there. Alright, so just like in the previous video, I had one side of the car with the seats facing all in the same direction, and then on the other side of the car, there was 4 tables, each with 2 seats each. So when I increased the length by 4 studs, 2 on this side and 2 on that side, I wasn't able to add any more seats on there, so there was no benefit to this side of the car because of the tables. But on this side of the car, it was able to get 2 more seats. Alright, so this is an all new build to the very center roof component on my train. It's a lot different compared to what I had it before, and that was because I wanted to incorporate those digital signs that say the speed of the train on the original set. There's supposed to be a sticker right there, so I didn't have that before. And then the other thing too is that these are upside down, whereas on the actual set they're right side up. If anybody was to build this train using the original components, they'd have to rotate that sticker 180 degrees. But I really like that. As soon as I get a hold of those stickers, I'm gonna add it. So yeah, I really like the increase in length, so I think it looks a lot better. I'm a little hesitant about making it any longer, although an additional 4 studs probably wouldn't look terrible. But due to LEGO's tight radius corners, the longer this train gets, the more awkward it becomes going around the corners. So I will just kind of demonstrate really quickly how that's going to look. So here you can see with the increase in length, they're kind of carrying out over the track a little bit further. The main difference is the angle between these 2 cars. Now, one thing to note is that the gap between the train cars on the LEGO set, I believe it's only 1 brick in gap, whereas mine, it is 2 bricks in gap. The reason why I have to have a bigger gap is because these trains are 8 wide, and with the longer length, these corners would smash into each other if I didn't have that extra width in the gap. So you can actually see just how tight that is going around the corner. So if you're a person that only has the LEGO radius corners, that might be of concern to you. However, for those who have the aftermarket corner pieces with much bigger radiuses, that's probably less of an issue. Okay, so let's talk about the cafe car. Yeah. Alright, so I'm building a LEGO city built in the future in the year 2060, and I really wasn't concerned with having a dining car in the beginning. In my city, this would be something that's fully automated. And so previously I had just included like a little tiny condiment station. But since that time, I'm just loving the 8 wide and all the extra space that it gives us. And because of that, I really wanted to show you guys, or just to see for myself, just what it would look like to have a little cafe station. I've got the cafe station jumpered on the very center of this train. You can see there's little jumper plates down there. And so the minifigures have 2.5 bricks of space to walk with. And the reason why I wanted to do it jumpered down the center rather than giving them a 2-stud walkway was just so that they could have additional room for other minifigures to walk past them. And over here in the corner, there's actually a little entry gate that opens and closes so that the employee operating the cafe station can get in and out. And minifigures that are walking from car to car, they're not obstructed by the cafe station. So there's plenty of room for them to walk through there. So we got a little alcoholic beverage right there ready to be served. We got a croissant. We got a strawberry tart, a taco, or a gyro. We got a waffle. We got a little coffee maker right there. Here's the coffee maker. Focus, come on, focus. Yeah, there's the coffee maker right there. And these little espresso bugs, they're whiter than a brick, will interfere with the bricks right next to them. So for the back half of the coffee maker, I'm using a 1x1 wall element corner, just so that the espresso mug can fit. Oh, and then over here, you've got a digital touchscreen. So because this is set in the future in the year 2060, train riders, all they have to do is open up their app on their phone, and they can place an order for whatever they want, and then they'll get a notification on their phone when their food is ready, and then they just come over and pick it up. No hassles, no standing in line, and pay with their phone, NFC. There's a little ice cabinet right there, and there's a bottle full of alcoholic beverage. And there's also 2 Vita Rushes in there. I actually have a cabinet down below that, but it doesn't actually open. You don't have access to it. And then just for some cool lighting design, I added a bunch of fluorescent trans yellow light underneath the counter. So yeah, that is my cafe car. So once again, it's got the tables on that side and the cafe bar on this side. Bada boom, bada bang. All right, guys. So here comes my favorite part. It's the sleeper car. And I am absolutely stoked with how this turned out. And the way I developed those sleeper cabins, I think are just super duper amazing. Can't wait to show you guys. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice is that the sunroof is different. So instead of it being all glass, it's actually got the black roof right here running down the middle, and then on each side I've got the skylight. And this actually doesn't snap in. It only just a snug fit in there. You just slide it in place and it's not going anywhere. Alright, and this is what I'm super stoked about. I was able to use the 1x6 door frame with the 1x3 doors to add entryways to the 2 different cabins. Yeah. So, you open this door, you've got access to the sleeper cabin there, and then you can open this door right here, and you've got access to that sleeper cabin. And the nice thing is that these doors can fully open and close without hitting anything. And then my other favorite part is I'm using these wall elements, these 2x2x5 round corner wall elements, and that helps with having minifigures be able to walk straight through without being cut off by the sleeper cabins. And then I'm using these 1x2x2 wall elements to act like little shelves. Here you can see each cabin has its own bed. There's a little pillow in there, and they even got their own TV or computer screen. You can see right there. Now I can't really show it without tearing this whole thing apart, but there's actually storage space underneath the bed for fitting a roll-on suitcase. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't get it out of there without it's just permanently posed in there. But it fits. You can store the little suitcase in there. And so just like in the cafe car, the wall for the sleeper cabins is dead center, is on some jumper plates, dead center with the width of the train. So again, this hallway is 2.5 bricks wide. The minifigures also have room for their arm with these windows there. Now you may notice that on this particular train that I'm using the 1x2x3 window panels instead of over there, which is the 1x6x3 windscreens. It doesn't really matter, either way works. And then the other thing too is that this divider wall right here between the 2 cabins is also on a jumper plate. Now in order to have the doors line up nicely with the tile floor down here, I actually had to recess this door frame down below so the jumper plates that hold the door frame are 1 plate below the floor. So that's why there's a little bit of a drop right in there, of a gap. I figured that was just a small aesthetic sacrifice for such awesomeness. Alright, and here you can see that I've got a little minifigure placed in there. Just kind of loosely floating in there. It's definitely not easy trying to drop the minifigure down in there. And then the one key difference with the center roof piece for the digital sign, that these digital signs are offset off to the side of the car with the hallway. And then these don't actually snap in, they just are really snug in place. Just pop in like that. So I am absolutely stoked that I was able to get those 1x6 with the double opening doors in there for use as separate doors for separate sleep cabins. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is that if I was to ever build more than one sleeper cabin, I would actually convert one of these sleeper rooms into a bathroom, which would be pretty easy to do. But I didn't want to do that just because I wanted to have a total of 4. 3 felt like it was not enough. But I love the fact that minifigures have room to walk through from car to car, and that I can totally fit sleeper cabins, private sleeper cabins with their own individual doors, plenty of room. They've got a little bed in there to sleep on and space to store their luggage. All right, so let's move on to topic number 3, which is the different choices or options. I wanted to have you guys take a poll. I'm gonna put a poll up on my community tab so that you guys can pick which choices you like the most. Will definitely be included in the final design. I think the first question to start off with is the color of this top stripe right here. So on the Lego train set, the roof is black all the way across. And when I first created this mock, I created it in white. And that was mainly because the whole face of the train had to be white. And that's what made the most sense, that the white continued through. But on the Lego set, it pretty much looks like it's an all black train that has a green stripe, and then at the bottom of the train, it has the white stripe. Whereas on my train, it looks like it's a white train with a black bar going through the middle of it with some green stripes. Okay, so here's the train engine, and here's the side where I'm showing the black as the roof, and then this is what it looks like with the white. So flipping back over here, again, this is supposed to be bright yellowish green. So this whole green stripe kind of comes down and then tapers into the corner there. I'm really happy with the fact that even though this is black here, I was able to come up with a nice transition between the white face of the train and the black roof line right there. So what do you guys like the most? Do you guys like the white, or do you guys like the black on top like the original set? So that's something you're gonna vote on. Okay, so the next option to vote on is the height of the doors. So I know there's a little bit of an upset in the Lego train community, and the fact is that all the trains in the past, platforms were built to the base of the train cars, right here on the gray part. So anybody who has a Lego train and a Lego train station, they've got the platform that goes all the way up to here. So when this train came along, it's got a lower door. Now the doors don't open because the platform is in the way. Doors, and this actually sits exactly 1 brick below the base of the train on the new Lego set. And this is the version that I built in my original video a few weeks back, which is already 1 plate higher than what is in the original set. Here what I've done is something new, is I've raised it up another plate. So the floor is elevated 1 plate higher, the door frame is elevated 1 plate higher. Now one thing that I do differently is I actually tile all my floors, so that actually adds an additional plate in height. So depending on whether you tile your platforms or not has an effect on the height of your platform. And so one thing you'll notice is that because this door is sitting 1 plate higher, there's a white plate just underneath it. This white color scheme is a little thicker beneath the door, whereas here it's the same. Now on the Lego train set, this door frame is actually black, and so when I get my hands on those door frames, I'll switch these over to the black ones. Although that might just depend whether the top roof is all black or whether it's all white. If it's all white, then I might just keep this door frame as all white. The other thing is that in my original train design, I had some entry lights right above the door frame that line up nicely with the bright yellowish green stripe right there. But when I raised the door on this one, that went away, and the bright green stripe gets interrupted. So it's not continuous, whereas here it looks much more continuous. So if you got a train station with a platform and you want to have this train, you've definitely got to lower your platform, or you can make a 2-tiered platform so that passengers who are loading onto trains that have doors from the gray stripe on up can load on the higher elevated platform, and then when you have this train that comes into the station, they'll just have to walk down 1 step to load onto this train. I went ahead and created a quick little mock-up where this just has a 1x8 section of it lowered down just right at the entrance. So if it's a regular train, they just kind of get on the train like right here on this part of the platform. But if it's this new express train, they have to walk down this little ramp right there. And I'm just using that 6x8 slope ramp right there. And I actually built this to line up with this train over here. This door, which actually sits a little bit lower. But I think more realistically, rather than having a singled out ramp, I think it would just make more sense to take the platform and have like 30% of your platform just kind of lowered down to accept these doors. And then that way your platform can service both types of trains. So again, the Lego Express train, that door is sitting 1 plate lower than this door, than the position that I have for this door. And then this other choice here, this door is sitting 1 plate higher than that. I'm thinking I like this option a little bit more, just because it's a nice 1 brick in difference. Whereas here, this is a difference of only 2 plates. So the next option has to do with these top corners right here. Now, the original train doesn't have these nice rounded corners. Lego also happens to have these nice bull-nosed corners pieces that match this profile there too. But unfortunately, Lego's using the 45-degree corner pieces right there. And Lego doesn't actually make any rounded corner bricks that match this 1x1 radius. So over here on this train, you'll see that I came up with a completely different solution. So instead of using these bull-nose corners, I'm using these 1x2 slope bricks, one of them being with the chamfered corner right there. Of course, they've got a couple of the 2x2 plates with the corner cut off. So it all matches. You got this nice flush surface. However, it doesn't match this profile anymore. So while it matches this profile, it no longer matches this profile. So I'm gonna put that in the polls and I'll let you guys vote. What do you guys think? Would you like the bull-nose corner or do you like the chamfered 45-degree corners? And here you can see what it looks like as the black version as well. So white version and black version. And then I guess the last question is trying to include this to be the bright yellowish green so that if you bought the original set, you could utilize that piece. Maybe you don't want to, maybe you like the white color. And if that's the case, this can change back to white. I can change all this back to white, and then I can have the green kind of cut off right here at a 45-degree angle. Another thing to note is that one of these tiles, there's a 2x4 tile right here in the middle for putting the train logo sticker right there. Yeah. Alright, I think that's it. That's the three main questions. One is the door height. One is the top roofline color, white or black. The third one has to do with this top corner right here. Should I leave it as the bull-nose corner or have it as the chamfered corner right there? So I'm loving these upgrades. I've made a lot of improvements to the build itself, fixed a few things, made the battery easier to get to, and loving the sleeper cab. And then the cafe car, I like how that turned out. So after I get the decisions on the polls, it's still gonna take me a week or two to finish building some instructions and parts list, and then I can, and then I'll just post something on the community tab, and you guys can reach out to me if you guys are interested in getting a hold of those instructions and parts list. And overall, I think the increase in the length has really improved the scale and the proportions even more so. And I'm just loving how this train is turning out. And then just for kicks, I've gone ahead and lined up this train with a bunch of my other vehicles, and I've got my own protocol scale, and I just had a lot of fun just kind of compiling a full lineup of all the different vehicles. And how they compare in size from one to the other to the other. So starting with, we've got the train that's 8 studs wide, we've got a semi-truck with a trailer that is 7 studs wide, we've got a bus that is 7 studs wide, semi-industrial truck that is 7 studs wide, a compact semi-industrial truck that is 6 studs wide, full-size pickup truck with a crew cab that is 6 studs wide, full-size SUV truck-based that is 6 studs wide, a mid-size SUV that is 6 studs wide, there's a minivan that is 6 studs wide, a compact SUV 6 studs wide, old school car, body is 5 studs wide, but the wheel flares make the whole car 6 studs wide overall, 4-door sedan that is 6 studs wide, sports car 6 studs wide, compact car 5 studs wide, I got a micro car 4 studs wide, utility golf cart 4 studs wide, then ATV 4 studs wide, motorcycle, scooter, bicycle, mini hand scooters, we got the little hoverboard, and then we got some roller skates. Those last few ones I just threw in there just for giggles. Hope you guys guessed these movie cars correctly. So first one is from the new animated movie The Bad Guys, which I absolutely loved, and I love that little car in there. I think it's loosely based on a Camaro. However, in the movie, the car has a much smaller scale than the size of an American muscle car Camaro is. So it actually gave me like European sports car vibes to it. But I just absolutely loved it. As soon as I saw the movie, I just had to make my own mock of it. So that one's a little harder to guess because it's a brand new movie that just came out. Now this one is an 80s classic. From the movie it is. So did you guys guess it? Anyone? 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 So if you guessed Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you guessed it right. This is a Ferrari 250 GT California Spider. So that's my interpretation of it. Absolutely loved how it came out. Alrighty y'all, I hope you guys like the trains. So expect to see the polls in a day or two. Check back on my community tab in either tomorrow or the day after. You'll see I'll have the polls posted, and you guys can vote on which options you like best. So thanks all for watching, and I'll check you guys later.